Mass protests in Iran now entering a sixth day in a row. Thousands are taking to the streets over a spiraling economic crisis there. President Trump, meantime, posting a stark warning to Iran's leadership early this morning, saying if the regime kills peaceful protesters, the U.S. would intervene and that American forces are locked and loaded. Lucas Tomlinson is in West Palm Beach, Florida, with the very latest strong words from the president this morning. Lucas.
Indeed, Julie. Good morning. These protests have been growing nationwide in Iran over the past 6 days and are now in at least 27 different cities, Julie. And as you mentioned, President Trump posting a stern warning to the regime just before 3 a.m. in Palm Beach. I'll read you the full text, Julie. It says, the president said, quote, if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue. We are locked and loaded and ready to go. Thank you for your attention to this matter. At least 6 people have been reportedly killed in the protests this week. It started among shopkeepers and merchants in Tehran's Grand Bazaar. Students have now taken to the streets with truckers and bus drivers, protesting runaway inflation, a currency that has lost 40% of its value since Israel launched its 12-day war against Iran, supported by those American B-2 bombers, stealth fighter jets, and Tomahawk cruise missiles from the guided missile submarine USS Georgia. Iran's Secretary of its National Security Council responding to Trump in a post of his own, saying, quote, Trump should know that American interference in this internal issue is equivalent to chaos across the entire region and the destruction of American interests. The American people should know it was Trump who started the adventurism. They should look after their soldiers. Here was President Trump earlier this week.
I'm not going to talk about overthrow of a regime. They've got a lot of problems that are in. They have tremendous inflation. Their economy is bust. Their economy is no good. And I know that people aren't so happy, but don't forget, every time they have a riot or somebody forms a group, little or big, they start shooting people.
All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we've got some big developments coming out of Iran. And yeah, this one matters because what we're seeing isn't just protests. It's a regime cracking under its own corruption, an economy falling apart, and a president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, sending a message loud and clear. If Iran kills peaceful protesters, America is watching, and we are not afraid to act. And honestly, good. Finally, a president who doesn't mumble, apologize, or hide behind strongly worded statements. Trump said it straight, locked, loaded, and ready to go. That's strength. That's deterrence. That's leadership.
The editors of the Wall Street Journal wrote late yesterday that the Ayatollah depends on oil revenue to keep his commanders loyal. If that oil revenue should be cut off, so too could be those loyalties. Julie?
Lucas Tomlinson, live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Thank you very much. For more on all of this, podcast host Ben Ferguson. Ben, thank you so much for talking to us.
Happy New Year.
What do you think of the president's strong words? I admire the fact that he is taking precautions before the killings could potentially start. And, you know, in his post, he essentially says, this is their thing. This is what they do. So warning preemptively that if you do anything, the U.S. will hold them accountable. You got to love that.
Yeah, look, I think the number one thing with President Trump is when he says something, especially when it deals with foreign policy and national security, he means it. And he means what he says here. I think he understands that the people there are going to be a target. I think he understands that we have the upper hand on oil. I think he understands the embargoes that are real, and we've seen this with Venezuela. And this is that FAFO of Donald Trump foreign policy. He meant it when he said to Iran, I will hit your nuclear sites. And that's exactly what we did. We pulled off the impossible mission to go and bomb those sites. And so what I think the president is saying here is very clear. We're not talking about invading Iraq, right? That's not what this is. What he is saying is, I have sanctions I can use against you, blockades, I can go after your boats, I can go after your oil, and I can hit military targets. And the president of the United States of America has been crystal clear. You don't mess with him. When he tells you there's a red line, he means it. Unlike Biden, unlike Obama, their red lines meant nothing to the world. Donald Trump's red lines clearly mean something, and you have a very quick history. You can learn just how serious he is, and I think Iran should listen up.
Yeah. It depends on whether or not they're going to actually listen. We hope they do. The Wall Street Journal editorial board writing this, quote, the State Department is issuing messages in Farsi to Iran, but the Iranians risking their lives deserve meaningful support. This can mean restoring internet access when the regime cuts it off, unmasking regime thugs, and much more. Aaron McLean, retired Marine infantry officer, echoed that statement earlier today. Listen.
As the president's own comments imply, words are probably not going to be enough. We've been down this road before. These protests tend to have tragic endings, and it may be helpful for the United States to take action in support of the protesters.
All right, so he's talking about it may be important for the U.S. to take action. Does he mean preemptively before Iran gets a chance to harm protesters? What does he mean by that, you think?
Look, I think there's a very good chance of that. I also think that what Donald Trump, his core policy with Iran is, this is a murderous regime. They want to kill Americans. They want to take on America. They've declared they're already at war with America. And so if that is the playing field, then we are going to be more proactive, the same way we were with the Iran nuclear deal. We're not even going to let you get any closer. We're going to go before him preemptively and take it off the table. I also think the president understands that's the way that you have a more peaceful ending and a peaceful resolution is if you go and you say, here's the line, you crossed it. We just did what we said we were going to do. Do you want to keep doing this? And that would destabilize Iranian's regime. Now, there's many on the left. They believe that Iran, if you go and destabilize, that's somehow bad for the Middle East. I disagree with that. I think they are a terrorist organization. The regime clearly supports state-sponsored terrorism. The attack on Israel is a perfect example of that. Iran was responsible for helping kill more American soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq than any other nation. They were a safe haven for terrorist organizations as well. And so the president's saying this is an opportunity for us. You either play the right way and you make sure that others are safe. And if not, then I must take action. That does not mean invasion. I say that over and over again because the left is going to say, oh, Donald Trump's going to get us into World War III. Right. No, he's not.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on. Happy New Year.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
What's really happening in Iran? We're talking 6 straight days of protests across more than 24 cities. Not college kids throwing tantrums. Not spoiled activists demanding new pronouns. These are shopkeepers, truck drivers, students, working families, people who are watching their currency collapse, food prices skyrocket, their freedoms disappear, while the regime funds terrorism and lines its pockets. And already, people have died, because when Iran feels threatened, it doesn't negotiate. It shoots. Iran fired back, warning the U.S. not to interfere, basically saying, if America gets involved, the whole region will burn. Translation? They're scared. This regime knows the only thing holding it together is fear and oil money. And even the Wall Street Journal called it out. Cut off the oil cash, loyalty disappears real fast. And they're right. Why Trump's message matters. Here's the difference between Trump and weak leaders like Obama and Biden. When Trump draws a red line, he means it. He doesn't say one thing on TV and do the opposite behind closed doors. He doesn't ship pallets of cash to hostile governments. He doesn't bow to dictators while pretending it's diplomacy. He says, hurt innocent people, and you will be held accountable. And by the way, he's not talking about invading and rebuilding another Middle Eastern country like Iraq. He's talking sanctions, blockades, choking off oil flow, targeted strikes on military assets if necessary, pressure, leverage, deterrence. That's how peace is kept. From strength. Should America intervene? Now look, nobody wants endless wars. I don't. You don't. But pretending evil regimes will magically behave if we just leave them alone. That's naive. That's what the left believes. Iran funds terrorism, threatens Israel, shouts death to America, arms militants, and crushes its own people. So if Trump says, cross the line, and we act, good, because dictators behave when they know there's a price to pay. Some analysts in the segment said something powerful. Words aren't enough. And they're right. Support should mean helping restore internet when the regime cuts it, exposing officials who brutalize protesters, tightening sanctions on corrupt leadership, not ordinary people, standing unapologetically on the side of freedom, not regime change, not nation building, but refusing to sit quietly while a murderous government cracks down on its own citizens. The left will attack this, of course. And here's the part we all know is coming. The left will scream, Trump is provoking war. Trump is dangerous. Diplomacy. Dialogue. Where was that diplomacy when Iran was arming terrorists? Where was the outrage when protesters were being shot? Silence. Because to them, Criticizing America is easier than criticizing our enemies. What we saw in this Fox News segment wasn't just analysis. It was a reminder. Strength keeps peace. Weakness invites chaos. Trump understands leverage, pressure, deterrence, and most importantly, moral clarity. When peaceful people rise up against tyranny, the United States shouldn't clap politely and walk away. We stand with freedom, and we do it without apologizing. Let me know what you think. Should the U.S. draw hard red lines with regimes like Iran, or should we stay completely out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new here, hit like, subscribe, and share so more people hear perspectives the mainstream media doesn't want you hearing. Patriots, stay strong, stay loud, stay proud. God bless America.